Bird photography is an art, and a frustrating one. How many times have you came back from a shoot excited to check your photos only to find they don't quite match what you had in mind? Don't worry, you are not alone. Today we are diving deep into why your bird photos fail and, most importantly, how to fix those mistakes. Hi, I'm Mario Kilian and welcome back to another video. Panic mode. It happens to the best of us. A rare bird appears out of nowhere, and instead of staying calm, we freak out. We grab the camera in a rush, forget about the settings, and end up with a messy shot. Sounds familiar? Here's the thing. It's not just about the rush. Often we are mentally unprepared. Maybe you were strolling during the park and daydreaming, and suddenly, boom, there is the bird of the day. Your camera still in the wrong mode. Maybe it's a landscape mode from your last outing, or set to a slow shutter speed for something completely different. I remember once seeing a hawk swoop down right in front of me. My heart was racing. I lifted my camera, fired off a burst, and realized that I was still in single shot mode, with a shutter speed set for portraits. The results, a perfectly blurry hawk that looked like a smooth on my screen. Not exactly what I had in mind. The key here is always be prepared. Keep your camera in a default action ready mode, especially if you're out looking for wildlife. For me, that means setting a fast shutter speed, continuous autofocus and burst mode. Even if I'm just walking to the car, you never know when the moment will strike. And here is a pro tip. Take a breath before pressing the shutter. Instead of firing in a frenzy, slow down for a half a second. Ask yourself, is my focus right? Is my composition okay? It's better to miss the first second of action and get a sharp shot than to panic and end up with 20 blurry ones. Mistake number 2, cluttered compositions. This happens when there is too much going on in the background, distracting from the bird itself. I remember once photographing a woodpecker. I was so focused on the bird that I didn't notice the tangle of branches behind it. When I look at the photo later, it was like Where is Waldo puzzle. So how do we fix this? Look for simple and clean backgrounds that make the bird stand out. Move around is necessary. Even a few steps to the left or to the right can make a world of difference. Always ask yourself, is the bird the main subject or is it getting lost in the chaos? The classic spray and pray method. We have all done it. You hold down the shutter button like a machine gun, hoping that out of 100 shots, maybe one will be a keeper. I will admit it, I have been guilty of this too. There was one time I spent an entire morning photographing swans in flight. I thought I was doing great, shooting non-stop birds like my camera was on fire. Then I got home and, well, let's just say I had over 1,000 photos of the same swan wing in slightly different positions. Out of all the shots, only one was usable, and even that one wasn't great. The truth is, this approach leads to two things. A ton of storage issues, because let's be honest, nobody enjoys sorting through thousands of photos. Second and worst, a lack of intention behind your shots. So how do you fix it? First, slow down. Instead of shooting blindly, try to anticipate the bird's behavior. Watch how it moves. Is it about to take off? Is it hunting? If you can read these patterns, you will know when to press the shutter button. And here is a tip I have learned the hard way. If the bird is just sitting in a branch doing nothing, you don't need to take 500 shots of it. Wait for that head tilt, the wing stretch, or the movement of action. Quality always beats quantity. Your goal shouldn't be to arrive at home with a full memory card. Your goal should be to come home with a few intentional, beautiful shots that are you proud to share. The classic mistake, wrong focus. Have you ever taken a photo where the branch is stuck sharp but the bird is a blurry mess? Yep, I have been there too. Once I was photographing a kingfisher and I was so excited that I didn't notice that the focus had locked on a nearby branch. The results, a perfectly sharp branch and a blurry kingfisher. The fix? If your camera have eye detection autofocus, use it and make it to your best friend. If not, focus manually or ensure your autofocus is locking onto the bird's eye. Remember, the eyes are the soul of the photos. Now, this one isn't a technical mistake, but is a big one. Lack of patience. Bird photography requires waiting, sometimes a lot of waiting. I remember a time when I waited 3 hours in freezing weather to capture an owl. Just when I was about to pack up, the owl appeared and I got the shot. Bird photography is a lesson in patience, so bring a thermos of coffee, enjoy the process, and remember, good things came to those who wait. Now let's talk about shutter speeds. This is critical for bird photography. If you are photographing a bird sitting on a branch, a slower shutter speed may work. But if the bird suddenly takes off, you need a fast shutter speed to freeze this action. I once missed a perfect shot of a hawk taking off because my shutter speed was too slow. Lesson learned. Tip. For birds in motion, start with a shutter speed of 1/2500 or even faster. For perched birds, 1/1000 might be enough, but always be ready to adjust as needed. Never underestimate the power of motion blur in a flying bird. Let's talk about the comfort zone error. Something I have personally battled with many times. You find a setup that works and you stick with it. Same aperture, same shutter speed, same standing position. You know that safe spot where you always set up your tripod. It's easy to get stuck in this routine. After all, it's comfortable, right? You don't have to get muddy, crouch down or climb over rocks. But here's the problem. Nature doesn't care about your comfort. Birds move unpredictable. The light changes, and if you're always shooting from the same perspective, your photos will start to look repetitive and uninspiring. I have fallen in this trap myself. I remember photographing storks at a lagoon and stayed in one spot for almost 1 hour, taking shot after shot. But when I reviewed the photos, they all looked the same. The same angle, the same background, and nothing stood out. I realized that I hadn't challenged myself to find a new perspective. I was stuck in my comfort zone. So, how do we fix this? It's simple. Move around. Get low to the ground for more intimate shot. Climb to a higher vantage point to capture unique perspectives. Use foliage to frame your subject, or even try to shoot directly into the light for dramatic silhouettes. And yes, it might be uncomfortable. You get muddy, your knees will ache and you will definitively look ridiculous flat on the ground. But trust me, the best photos often came from the most awkward and uncomfortable positions. Here is a practical tip. Next time you're out shooting, challenge yourself to take 5 different photos of the bird from 5 different angles. You will be surprised at how much variety you can get from just one subject. Okay, maybe 5 angles is too much. Remember, birds don't always come to you. Sometimes you need to go to the birds. And if that means crawling through mats or balancing on a rock, well, that's just part of the adventure. Next up, lighting. Poor lighting can make even the best composition fall flat. I learned this the hard way. I once spent hours photographing herons, only to realize later that the harsh midday sun made the photos look dull and lifeless. The solution? I'm to shooting the golden hour, early morning or late afternoon, when the light is soft and warm. And always pay attention to from where the light is coming from. If you can position yourself with the light behind you, your bird will be beautifully illuminated. I have lost count of how many times I have already wrapped up a shot and heading back to my car. And that's when I cross paths with photographers who are just arriving. And I think to myself, guys, you missed the best part, those magical moments when nature wakes up. The light is perfect and the birds are most active. That's what makes waking up early so worth it. One more tip that many photographers overlook: understanding bird behavior. Birds have patterns. They tend to return to the same spot or follow specific routines. By observing them closely, you can anticipate their movements and get better shots. For example, I have noticed that kingfishers tend to perch on the same branch repeatedly. By watching and waiting, you can position yourself for the perfect shot. It's like having insider knowledge. Last but not least, overprocessing. We have all been guilty of this. You take a photo that's just okay, and in an attempt to make it amazing, you crank up the saturation, add too much sharpening, and end up with a bird that looks more like a cartoon. Remember, we are photographing birds, not creating new species. Aim for natural colors and avoid the temptation to go overboard in post-processing. Less is more. Remember, even the best photographers have bad days. What matters is learning from your mistakes and improving over time. Bird photography is a journey, one filled with challenge, but also with incredible rewards. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more wildlife photography content. And tell me in the comments, what was your biggest challenge you faced in bird photography? I would love to hear your stories. And now go out and take your best photos. I know you can, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye bye.